Hey everyone, Midnight Musings here with your two favorite Muslims on Substack. Folks, we just were overjoyed with the welcoming of the Caliph of New York, Mamdani, and we're here to inaugurate the Islamic Republic of New York City. Where were you when New York City was taken over by Sharia law? I was here in Orlando with my in-laws celebrating, drinking a hot cup of chai overnight as a result of 33-year-old Assemblyman Zoran Mamdani not just becoming mayor, just winning the primary against sex predator Andrew Cuomo. If you were to believe the corporate media, if you were to believe some Democrats, we won't even get to the Republicans. Apparently, New York City, the most vibrant city in America, a population of what almost 10 million, has all of a sudden abandoned. Diversity and freedom, and all the queer vegan hipsters have converted to Islam and are now praying 5 times a day. And by the way, they were already there with their hipster beards. So folks, a little bit of levity, a little bit of humor in the face of just rampant, hideous anti-Muslim bigotry, Islamophobia, anti-Arab bigotry, just straight racism that Qasim and I predicted independently would be unleashed if Zoran was to win. And like right on cue, I hate being right about American politics, right on cue as two middle-aged men who survived the war on terror. The same talking points that were normalized and mainstream and allowed even by liberals. Don't worry, we're going to crap on the Republicans, but let's be honest here. Liberals went along with it. The war on terror, right? Very few Democrats spoke out against it. Rah, rah, rah. Anytime
Mhm.
it comes to bombing a Muslim majority country, there's war boners on both sides of the aisle. The rhinos who were invited to the DNC over Palestinians, Adam Kinzinger and others. Oh, they're loving this war with Iran. And now, when it comes to Zoran Mamdani, 33 years old, Democratic socialist who ran a brilliant campaign, old school. What do I mean by old school? Grassroots, knocked on doors, communication, message, listen to the people, and defeated a corrupt sex predator. The DNC went all in to destroy Zoran Mamdani. And he won. And you think, Qasim, you know, maybe we should listen to the kids. Maybe we should listen to the people on the street. Maybe we should go with the wind is blowing. And you and I predicted independently, and I said this, they will unleash all their firepower, not against Donald Trump, who's literally kidnapping immigrants and terrorizing Americans, but against Zoran Mamdani. And the type of mwah, just beautifully
Yep.
explicitly racist talking points that have come out before we talk about Andy Ogle, before we talk about Charlie Kirk, before we talk about the meltdown from billionaires Ackman and the most rabid, insane right wing pro Israel Zionists. Let's talk about the Democrats. You were telling me about a senator from New York. Gossip.
I pointed out even before we got to Gillibrand, I pointed out that Trump's unleashed his racist bigotry, but unfortunately, everything Trump has said about Zoran Mamdani, Democrats already said in the primary. Like, there's nothing new he's saying. You got Whitney Tilson running an ad and saying that Mamdani wants to kill Jewish people. Now you've got Gillibrand going on live radio, and I think Brian Lear was the host. He pushed back 3 times, saying that there's no evidence he said this. She goes, no, no, no. It's you have to condemn it, and he supports killing of Jewish people, and it's not acceptable. Like, she's fabricating nonsense. And I made this tweet that's going viral right now, that I was just kind of thinking about this. Establishment Dems have lost 2 of the last 3 presidential elections. They've lost the House. They've lost the Senate. They've lost the Supreme Court to a 6-3 supermajority, MAGA majority. They failed to codify Roe, failed to protect voting rights, failed to pass universal health care, failed immigration reform, failed to repeal Citizens United, failed to pass the living wage, failed to prosecute Donald Trump. But their unholy outrage, where they have no limit to their anger, where they're just gnashing of the teeth and ripping of the shirts, is when a brown Muslim immigrant has the audacity to run on a platform of saying, hey, maybe we should make groceries, travel, childcare, and rent a little bit more affordable. That's their red line. That, God forbid, a 33-year-old who had the audacity to think, hey, maybe you can make it here. I can make it in New York. I can make it anywhere. Let me go after it. I mean, it's just, how the hell do you then wonder that, well, why do we have a 26% approval rating? Why does 70% of Democrats want leadership gone and want new leadership? Like, you guys messed up everything. James Carville coming out here saying, and I'm really angry. Like, he came out and saying that, well, Mamdani's win has the risk of hurting the Democratic Party. How? You already have a car that won't drive. It's like saying putting functioning wheels on this car is going to hurt the car. No, it's going to make it drive. It's driving now. And you guys want to drive it into a ditch because he did something that you couldn't do. Just like for the love of God, have a little bit of humility in yourself and recognize that this guy knows what he's doing, is effective, and rather than sabotaging him and aligning him with, as some kind of a terrorist, because you're going to get him killed if you keep doing this, at least support him and demonstrate that we are a party committed to economic justice for the love of God.
Uh,
I'm angry.
no, you have every right to be angry, right? Because listen, folks, a lot to unpack there. But what I want to say is this: if you think that Qasim and I, as brown men, as Muslim men, are just voting for Mamdani, and I was or supporting Mamdani, and I was on a WhatsApp group with a lot of intelligent American-born Muslims of different ethnicities, many people of color. But what we were saying is, we're not rooting for him just because he's a brown man. We're not rooting for him just because he's a Muslim. He ran a great campaign. It's because of his message. There's a lot of other brown folks that we don't rally behind, like, oh, I don't know, Nikki Haley, or
Yep.
I don't know,
Remy
Cash
Swami.
Patel, right? Right? It's not just because of his ethnicity or of his religion. It's because of the campaign and the message that he ran on. And a diverse constituency of New York, one of the most diverse cities in the world, said, we like this guy. He's listening to us. And, we might not like everything, but we like enough. And if the entire Democratic establishment is putting all their weight behind Andrew Cuomo, a sex predator, a corrupt friggin' freak, folks, 40% of Cuomo's allies who came out to support him were people who rejected him 4 years ago. Just sit with that for a second. And they said, you know what? We're going to rehabilitate this guy that we kicked out, that we said was trash. We're going to come in and support Cuomo over Zoran Mamdani, even though he's running a popular campaign. It's that famous, it's one of my favorite quotes from The Simpsons. The scene where Principal Skinner tries to find Bart. He's convinced he's playing hooky, so he goes to the paper factory and he doesn't find him there. Is it? Am I out of touch?
No.
No,
The
no. It
children
is
are.
the children who are wrong, right? And this is what they've done. And then what pisses me off also is the double standard because you and me are brown Muslim men,
Yeah.
and what they're doing to Zoran Mamdani, right, folks? It might be lost on you because we've normalized this. The double standard. Zoran Mamdani is asked to apologize for criminal conduct and criminal actions done by criminals he's never met in countries he's never visited.
That's right.
He has to present himself as moderate in front of a nameless judge and jury that always holds him as suspect purely based on his brown skin color and his Muslim identity. And then I
Yep.
say, okay, if this was the consistent standard for everyone, I get it. For example, suppose a year and a half into Netanyahu's genocide of Israel, you had a supporter of Netanyahu in Israel ask each and every single time, do you condemn Israel's occupation? Do you condemn the settlements? Do you condemn apartheid? Do you condemn Israel's war crimes? They are never asked. Oh, how about this? Just from the last 2 weeks, all Christian nationalists and Republicans. Do you condemn Vance Bolster, the Christian nationalist Republican Trump voter who had a list of 70 targets and killed
It's
Democrat
out of the
elected
news
officials?
cycle.
It's out of the news, Qasim.
Yep.
And you and me are
Please.
sitting this 24 years after 24 years after 9/11, the same double standards, and it is liberals and Democrats who are the ones who funded the racist campaigns in the past two
That's
weeks.
right.
So
Right.
what's changed?
That's right.
It pisses
And
me off, man.
have some damn spine. And that's the part that upsets me, that they have no spine about this. I do want to take a moment and give a shout out to Brad Lander, the New York City comptroller who co-endorsed with Mamdani, highest ranking Jewish elected official in New York City, had a great quote. I was watching an interview he had with Jake Tapper where he goes, "It's just gross racist bigotry. Zoran is running for New York where everybody belongs, and I feel proud as the highest ranking Jewish elected official in New York City to be supporting somebody who would be the first Muslim mayor. What could be more New York City than that?" And you've got a guy who's intimately studied and watched Mamdani and has combed through his entire history, the highest Jewish ranking official telling you this is racist. There's nothing anti-Semitic here. You guys are out of your minds. And you've got the Democratic Party, people like Gillibrand, people like Richie Torres, people like Bill Clinton, Cuomo, saying, no, 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 no. Just because you're Jewish doesn't mean you know what anti-Semitism is. We know better than you. It's just mind-boggling. It's like you know, Democrats are the best I've ever seen at pissing away a victory. That's what they're doing here. They're destroying a victory. They're missing the point. I mean, just look at the data. He got 25% of the voters were new voters and never voted before. He got them to come out.
Yeah.
25%. Early voting and just in this election, in this primary, had a 50% higher overall turnout. this guy knows how to pull out votes. And it's not because he's got some magic potion. It's because he's going to the basics of, hey, let's talk to people. I had one of his campaign directors on my Sirius XM show last week, and she goes, he did something really simple. After Kamala Harris, lost last November, we looked at the data of where there was a biggest rightward shift in these five
Mm.
boroughs, and he went to those places and just talked to people and just understood. And then based on
Old
talking
school,
to
man.
them,
Old school stuff.
is how he formed his economic policies of free childcare, freezing the rent, free bus fare, and then increasing taxes on millionaires. And guess what? It works. It's not a complicated thing. The fact that they're demonizing him without actually tackling his policies tells you why Democrats keep losing. It's because they're not running for anything. They're not convincing people they're running for anything. It's just what they're against. And that's just not a way to inspire people. It's not.
And it's also, he ran a campaign. He says, I'm for everyone, right? And Democrats are showing you in the past 2 weeks, we're for the 1%. Folks, they had Bill Clinton come out and endorse Cuomo. They had Representative Clyburn come out and endorse Cuomo to try to move black votes. They had Lawrence Summers, who admitted publicly, I don't know much about New York's economy, but I know he's going to be terrible because he's a Democratic socialist. They had Palantir, the CEO of one of the most evil, terrible companies that openly helps, proudly helps Netanyahu and the genocide of Palestinians, and just got a multi-million-dollar contract, billion-dollar contract, excuse me, to build a surveillance state for the Trump administration. They came out
Yeah.
for Andrew Cuomo, right? All these people, New York Times came out for Andrew Cuomo.
And that part was
Washington Post.
cathartic. No. They came out for Whitney Tilson and said, basically endorsed Whitney Tilson. And the fact that they said, do not even rank Mamdani. Don't rank him. He's not good for the city. Don't rank him at all. And the entire city gave the New York Times a proverbial middle finger. That no, the hell with you. Tilson got 0.8%. And somebody messaged me, I think there's a typo, he got 8%. I'm like, no. He got 0.8%, less than a percent vote. Like, you could have stumbled onto the ballot and gotten a percent vote. He got 0.8%, and Mamdani wins basically in round two. I mean, if that's not a reflection of how little trust there is left in corporate media. And then the icing on the cake for me was the Washington Post comes out with an
Today.
editorial
Tell him.
just today.
Tell him.
And like at least it's a very, very thin defense. But at least you could say about the New York Times that maybe they didn't see because they're out of touch. But for the Washington Post to actually see what happened and decide, you know what, we're going to be worse than the New York Times and show how even more out of touch we are. Like, it's just mind blowing to me. And by the way, for those listening, this is why voices like Wajahat is so important. And I hope you're subscribing to his Substack because we're
Vice
talking
versa.
about these issues that the corporate media just won't. They're trying to appease an audience of one, Jeff Bezos, Rupert Murdoch. That's who they're trying to appease. We are funded by you guys. We are trying to make sure we're getting you accurate, timely information that you can act upon. And so I hope you guys do support our efforts because it's going to get a lot worse. It's going to get a lot nastier. And Wajahat, I'm not joking. I'm seriously afraid for his life and safety. I hope he has 24/7 protection because especially with what happened in Minnesota last week, the way that he's being demonized, I can see some nut job acting upon this demonization, and these politicians are going to have blood on their hands. God.
A couple things to unpack what you said. I messaged this to a few friends of mine, and they were like, "Waj, are you being alarmist?" I'm like, "I'm not," because the type of vitriol that has come out against him. What happened with Vance Bolter, which everyone's forgotten except me, the fact that Zoran got death threats, credible death threats in the past 2 weeks, thanks to the Democratic funded or right wing funded ads that Cuomo ran, even during the NBA Finals, right? And now you're seeing the entire establishment, the 1%, with Democrats and Republicans unleashing their entire cannon fodder on Zoran Mamdani. Not, Donald Trump, the man who just did the illegal strike in Iran, the man who's tanking our economy, the man who's helping spread friggin' measles even to California now, thanks to RFK Jr. as the Director of Health and Human Services, the person who tanked our Moody credit rating. Not that guy, the guy who's kidnapping innocent individuals, has deported 70 citizens at least that we know of. Not that guy. Against Zoran Mamdani. And it just takes one Vance Bolter to say, I'm going to get this jihadi, right? And we saw Betar, this extremist, right-wing, pro-Israel fanatical group that even the ADL says, whoa, Betar, too much. And this is the ADL, piece of shit organization under Greenblatt that has completely betrayed its values and is a shanda for the Jewish people. That in March 9th, when Mahmoud Khalil was finally released, celebrated Mahmoud Khalil and all these people being denied their due process and being detained without zero criminal charges, right? These folks and AIPAC are the ones just funding the money And not just them, like you said, Democrats, Lawrence Summers, right? New York Times, Palantir, Bill Clinton, Clyburn. And then you saw the supervillain plot today. Did you see Bill Ackman's tweet?
About unlimited money for the general, that
Can
one?
you, can you tell people a supervillain is never supposed to tell the supervillain plot in the first act? Please tell them what Bill Ackman did.
No, no, I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Are you talking about how he's saying that he's going to have hundreds of millions of dollars for the general
He
election?
openly said it. Yeah, he's on a WhatsApp group with
Yeah,
billionaires, and they're going to
yeah.
raise. Tell him.
That's all I know about it. It's not like you've read more about it than me, but it sounds like
Oh,
that he's committed unlimited money basically to make sure that Mamdani doesn't win and get behind what's his face, Eric Adams.
yeah, he said so. He literally opens up a Twitter and goes, "Ah, encouraging news! I'm on a WhatsApp group with all these people, and we're going to raise hundreds of $1 millions to make sure Mamdani doesn't win." And then Cuomo, surprise, surprise, after saying he's not going to run today, he said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I actually might run. I actually might run." Right. So I said, "I welcome Cuomo. Run. You run." The Turkish delight Eric Adams runs because talking to some friends in New York, they're like, "We're done with this. We see right through this." They saw right through it in the primaries,
Yeah,
and I think the doubling down on this ugly racism, the pitting of Muslims and Jews against each other. They saw through that bullshit because I'm glad you gave Brad Lander his flowers. He deserves the
absolutely.
flowers. There's this a meme I just shared of the soldier on fire getting attacked, and that's Brad Lander, and he's protecting Zoran Mamdani who's
Wow.
sleeping, and the ammunition is absolutely nonsense accusations of anti-Semitism, right? They're pitting Muslim versus Jew.
They
It's
are.
BS. Jews canvassed for Zoran Mamdani. Jews
Yeah,
voted for Zoran Mamdani,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Brad Lander is a mensch. That man takes Judaism very seriously, right? You're telling
Yep.
me that Brad Lander, New York City comptroller, a Jewish man who takes a Jewish identity very seriously, who's a proud Jew, would ever for a second, Qasim, cross endorse a man if he was quite literally a hate monger, a global jihadist, and
Yeah,
anti-Semite? Are you kidding
yeah.
me? And you
It's
think the New
nonsense.
Yorkers are dumb enough
It's
not to know?
nonsensical. And I mean, not just Brad Lander, but if you look at the people who are most vociferously defending Zoran throughout the campaign against the attacks of anti-Semitism, it was Jewish New Yorkers. You can just go on Twitter, go on social media, and see how many Jewish New Yorkers were saying, "What the hell are you guys talking about? This guy is championing our humanity. He's, committed to funding programs that combat anti-Semitism, but he's increasing it by 800% to fund programs that are combating anti-Semitism. I mean, Eric Adams could have done this; he never has. Cuomo could have proposed this; he never has. And so, I love the fact that we're seeing Jewish New Yorkers and Muslim New Yorkers and Christian New Yorkers and non-believer New Yorkers and Hindu and Sikh and all working together on these humanitarian causes because I think they fundamentally understand that this is all these culture wars are a distraction from the economic war, from the class war that the super wealthy elite are trying to wage on working class people. Folks gotta understand, we are right now at this moment in American history, we have worse wealth and income inequality than at any point since after the Civil War. Worse now than after the Great Depression, worse now than the 2008 financial crisis. It is worse now than at any point. The top 1% control more wealth than the bottom 90%. It's worse now than it was in pre-French Revolution France, where they had guillotines. That's how bad it's gotten here. And the only way this perpetuates is if these billionaires successfully convince Muslims and Jews and Christians and black and white and gay and straight that we need to fight amongst one another. If we stand in solidarity, doesn't mean we have to agree with each other, even if we have to like each other. It just means that we recognize the humanity of one another and recognize that we are in a class warfare. We're being trounced right now. But and this is what I wrote about, that this is the many versus the money. If we
Oh yeah.
if we unite as the many, there is no amount of money that can overcome us. But we gotta look past these culture wars. We gotta find a way to extend the olive branch and work together. Otherwise, we're all cooked.
And you see how desperate they are because they are unleashing 2002 Islamophobic tropes.
That's right.
They're unleashing, they're bringing out Bill Clinton from the crypt. They are calling on Representative Clyburn to tarnish his legacy, right? They're
Yeah.
using the New York Times, they're using the Washington Post, Lawrence Summers, right? They're going all out. Jake Tapper, with the interview they said with Brad Lander, the entire interview was essentially promoting these specious arguments and allegations about Mamdani being an anti-Semite, or some people think he's a global jihadist. What BS, folks! And a reader of mine on Blue Sky had a great point. How come all these Muslims who live in New York, 1 million Muslims or so, have never felt uncomfortable with the Jewish mayor? How come you've
Ever.
never heard this from us? right?
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden, the alleged discomfort from some Jews and from some billionaires trumps our security, our safety,
Yeah.
our dignity, our collective ambition and future for a better America or an affordable America, right?
Right.
This is all about supremacy. I was talking to Peter Beinart about this, right? The mindset of supremacy, white supremacy, cultural anxiety. Your pronouns make me uncomfortable. The hijab on your head makes me uncomfortable. The way you pray makes me uncomfortable. And my need to feel comfortable trumps your freedoms and liberties. South Africa.
Yeah.
My need to feel comfortable trumps you black majorities a need for equality. My feeling of discomfort at your existence and you saying words like free Palestine trumps your need for actual freedom, oh Palestinians, so we'll just occupy you, right? It's the
Yeah.
same mindset of
Yeah. It absolutely is.
supremacy no matter where you go, and you see it playing out with billionaires, racists, and the right wing. Mamdani, because of what he represents, his message, the many versus the 1%, right? Take care of everyone, not just the billionaires. They're willing to burn down. I said this figuratively last week. I said they will burn down. By them, I'm talking about the establishment folks, which includes Democrats. They will burn down New York City before letting Mamdani become the mayor. And we're seeing it in action, and it'll be up to the people to say no. What do you think
Yeah.
about that, Gotham? Am I being hyperbolic?
No, I don't. I don't think you are. I mean, I think you know, until and unless we recognize that power is never given away freely, ever. There's not a single moment in history where power is given away freely. People had to unite against the wealthy elite to take power. Now, we both want peaceful transfer of power. We always want a peaceful transfer. I will always advocate for peaceful transfer of power. That's what we want with voting. That's exactly what we want voting. My fear is that exactly what you said, that the establishment, we've seen this happen before. We've seen them take out Malcolm X and Dr. King and Fred Hampton and the Kennedys. I mean, we've seen this happen throughout American history. That when somebody started to challenge the status quo, it was too popular, it got too ingrained. I mean, Fred Hampton was 20, 22 years old, and in a post Jim Crow era, he managed to unite black and white and Italian and Jewish and Latino, and it scared the crap out of the Chicago PD, so they assassinated him. And I don't know about you, I think every icon is an icon in its own right, and Mamdani is a long way to go yet. But I'm getting those same vibes of somebody who just doesn't give a crap about the wealthy, so hyper focused on the working class. And I think this is one of the things that really pisses me off is because we constantly hear, and we heard this after 9/11. Why don't Muslims assimilate? Why don't they assimilate to our nation and follow our laws and abide by the rules and get engaged in the political process? And then you got someone like Mamdani who goes, yeah, good idea. I'm gonna assimilate and I'm gonna run for office. I'm gonna get elected. I'm gonna serve my community. And then it's like, no, 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 not like that. No, no, assimilate so you can follow our lead, not so that you can lead. You're not allowed to lead. And my message to my kids, and I'm sure it's the same thing to your kids, is this is a man who was fearless. He's relentless. And what I love about him most is not, and you already said this, but just to double down, what I love about him most is not that he's Muslim, it's not that he's South Asian, it's that this man is running on his convictions. He's running on
That's
his
right.
principles, and his convictions are inclusivity, it's representation, it's meaningful economic justice. That's a winning message, and I can only hope the Democrats catch on before it's too late.
And I don't want to keep you for long, keep you a couple of minutes. And when it comes to Palestinians, right? Look, they tried to get them to pivot, like all these Democrats did. When it comes to undocumented immigrants, they tried to get them to pivot. When it comes to transgender people, they tried to get them to pivot. And by pivot, I mean throw them under the bus. He never
Yeah.
did. He never did. He stood
Right.
true by his conviction. He goes, even if I lose, I'm going to stand up for everyone. And everyone
Right.
includes occupied people in Palestine. That includes the undocumented. That includes brown immigrants. That includes LGBTQ people, right? He
Yep.
stayed firm on his principle. You agree with him? You don't agree with him? That's fine. But I think people responded to the passion, the consistency, him saying, I'm standing up for every New Yorker, even those who disagree with me, especially the most marginalized. I'm not going to put on Elisa Slotkin and throw the woke under the bus and repeat bad faith right wing talking points, win or lose. And people are like, damn it, I like that. You
Yep.
seem sincere. You seem authentic. You're running off of values and principles. You
What a
actually
concept.
believe this stuff, right?
What a concept. I'll close with this, Wajahat, and I'll let you go too, because I know it's late for you, but I'll close with this. I had a tweet that went viral, and the responses are hilarious. I said, as a South Asian, let me just say, Zoran Mamdai's election to mayor at 33 will be devastating for young South Asian men because we're already being judged enough by our parents for not being successful enough. Now they're going to say, he's 33, he's mayor. What the hell have you done with your life? As dark as
Yes,
it
Tala.
is. And the
Tala,
number
what
of
did
white
you do?
liberals who responded telling me to F off and stop being a Cuomo supporter was hilarious. They're like, talk about not reading the room. But to me, that's my only complaint about him. He's too successful too soon. He's making all of us look bad.
And he has hair on his head.
I
Like
know.
mother
I
effer,
know.
slow
Exactly.
your roll, bro. Slow your roll. The last thing I'll say is one of the tweet that I did that went viral and got picked up in New York Times, and they failed to mention I was a contributing op-ed writer. They mentioned me as a liberal commentator, but I'll take it. Is that a Muslim American teams up with a Jewish American candidate and a black candidate to defeat a sexual predator. That is a quintessential American story, and that is so New York. And I believe New York sees what's happening. And I love New York City. It's my home away from home. New York City has always been kind to me. I made my career in New York when I did my play in New York. So many good memories in New York. You know, everyone said, "Oh, New York's going to eat you up and they're going to be cruel." Never been my experience. Quite the opposite. Knowing New York, I think New York rallies, man. New York's going to come together, and a majority of them say, F you 1%, F you billionaires, F you racists, enough is enough. I think they're going to rally behind Jaron Mamdani. And I know you want to sleep. I want to sleep because it's 12:30. But I do want to ask you this last question before you
Yeah,
leave, because
go for it.
this week in particular, the last 2 weeks, with Clinton and Clyburn coming out, and with Gillibrand now, man, I'm this close to saying burn the DNC to the ground and rebuild it. Like, if this is the DNC, this close to done.
It's Republican light. I spoke with Maurice Mitchell, the executive director of the Working Families Party, and he shared some pretty amazing things that they're running 1,000 candidates, and some of them they're backing are as Democrats, but like Letitia James was a Working Families Party recruit, and the woman, the only woman in history to take down Trump, was a Working Families Party recruit, and I think the problem that we have in America right now is we have a right wing party, we have a centrist center right party. There's no true left party. There's no true party that runs on these economic justice values. And I think there's a deep need there. There's a reason why Democrats have a 20 something percent approval rating and 70% want new leadership. I think what they're actually saying is we need a true leftist party that is funded by the many, not by the money, that is funded by the people, not by the pundits and politicians and billionaires. And I think it's time to build it. And we've got some young leaders like David Hogg doing that. We've got some young leaders being aggressive about it, and I'm excited about what the young people will do because the young people have always saved us, and I think this time will be no different.
Yo, Qasim, thank you for joining me. I texted Qasim at like 11:55. We're both exhausted, and we thank the nearly 600 people who joined us, fellow masochists. For those who joined us late, we've been talking for 30 minutes. Qasim and I are going to put this up on our Substack. Qasim will probably go to sleep. I'll have it up. I'll tag Qasim. Qasim, as you leave, tell people how they can support you, where they can find you.
Man, coalition building, guys. Subscribe to me right here on Substack. I just my name, QasimRashid.com, or let's address this with Qasim Rashid. And if you subscribe to me, don't subscribe to me unless you're also going to subscribe to Wajahat. We got to build coalition. We got to build community. We're grateful for your support, all of you. We love you. Let's go out and protect our republic, protect our democracy.
Yeah, this is the left hook. I'm supposed to be on vacation. Clearly, I'm a son of immigrant. I love Gotham shirt. We don't know anything about vacationing. The left hook Substack. I have no paywalls. I'm a terrible,
Yeah.
terrible son of immigrants. I'm a fool, but I'm not idiot. It's because I believe people should be informed as they're facing fascism. And I heard somewhere, Gotham, that democracy dies in darkness. So I'm like Blanche Dubois. I depend on the kindness of strangers. Give what you can, and if you can't, just subscribe for free, read it, share the good content. And tomorrow I'll be back because, again, I'm a masochist, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to talk to Danielle about this great freak out for Democracy Ish on Danielle Moody's YouTube. And you can also see on my Substack, it'll be 12 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Democracy Ish. Qasim, take some rest, buddy. Thanks for all your work. Khudafis, man. Salgam.
Peace out.